Hey there everybody, this is Chad with Didactic Cafe Designs, and I'm here to talk to you about a new thing that I'm trying. All right, so look, it says right here, I'm a woodworker. That's what I do. I do laser engraving, I do the hats, I do all that kind of stuff. But I'm also, as you can see by the shirt, interested in all sorts of designs. And so I recently purchased the XTool screen printing machinery, and it came with some great screens here, you can see. I've only done one shirt so far, so I'm going to show you a little bit about how this process works. So the screens are really easy to put together into the frames, and the thing comes with about 12 of the screens, the blue thing right here, and 4 of the frames. And it's really easy. So you see this little like flange right here, you kind of jam it down inside. There's a couple of little toggles here on the edge. You put the little thing down, you press it deep into that hole there, the little like a rivet that kind of runs through there. Then you push it down until it's flush, and then you lock it in place with this. You do that on all 4 sides. Actually, all 3 sides. The top side, you don't actually lock it in because the top side's where it connects to the actual screen printer. Okay, so once you have your frame set up with your screen in place, you're going to want to place your screen inside of your tool. Now I have the XTool S1. It's a pretty simple, it's a 10-watt laser. Works great on this. One of the things, I don't know if you can see it right about here. This is a tool that comes with it. This is the screen or the frame stabilizer, frame holder. You'll just want to screw it into the sides here on the interior, the 2 middle screws right there. Just take the screws out, put this piece in. It's got 2 little protrusions, I guess you could say, right here. And then all you're going to want to do is when you put your screen in, you're just going to want to lock them in place. Now it's going to sit on top of your base plate. I have a riser, so mine, I have the actual plate already in place, which is good. It sits right on top of it. It does take a little bit, as you can see, to kind of figure out where it fits. I'll show you what I'm talking about. There's these little grooves right here that you're trying to, this way, you're trying to fit those onto the little protrusions that stick out. And the one that gets me every time is this one here in the back. So I'm going to fiddle with it a little bit. There we go. All right, perfect. Yeah, and you can see it sits really, really flat. So once you find the spot, so you sit in here, it sits really, really flat, and then you'll notice that like I said, it's pretty taut. As far as where to engrave, like that becomes the next big question. And when you put this into the actual press, this end over here is going to be the end that's on the arm, the end that comes down. And so what I did on the first shirt that I tried, and I'll show you kind of how that came out a little bit later on while I'm working on this one, but right here is where I printed. So I wanted to have a shirt that had right here, the logo right across the chest. So I printed it right on this spot right here. Now it's close to the middle, which they do recommend. The tighter you get it to the middle, the better, because it's tighter at the middle than it is on the edges. And so right here is kind of where I'm aiming for. Okay, so I'm going to go into the design portion of it now and kind of show you what I'm doing with that. Okay, so I'm already here in the XCS software, and so if you look up here where it says process on base plate, that's the default. You're going to want to click on that, and then down here it says screen preparation. So click on screen preparation. So there's a couple of other little tools in here. You're going to do it the same way you would with any sort of other engraving. You're going to need to process the height, the distance. So you're going to still need to go over here to these tools, auto measure there, and you're still going to want to do that. So I won't show you how to do that. If you've done any engraving, well, actually, I'll show you. So basically what you're going to do is, again, you're going to want to position your laser right there. Click the auto toggle here, and it'll do its little measure. Now, while it's measuring here, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other things here. So the frame size that I have here is a 16 by 11.5. I do think they create screens that come in a 9 by 12 size. They don't come with the actual device. So basically you're going to have the 16 by 11.5, which is a good size screen design. Okay, so now I've got this thing processed. I'm going to go over here once again. I'm going to click on my little flag. I'm going to pick the rectangle, click right there. And of course, there's the screen that you've seen. So back over here, you see the option. Now, the recommendation I've seen is that you go ahead and you click as far up as you can on one side. You hit your little blue button down here, like so. Then you draw your line down here, and again, you go as far as you can on this side right there, and button. And then you go back over here and you say end marking. So now is the part where I drop in my design. Now I've already designed my stuff. Like I said, in other videos that I've done, I use Canva, use a lot of design there. I'll use my own sort of creations periodically. I drop some of that in there too, some pictures. But I'm still keeping it simple. I'm not quite ready to do the whole multicolored bit there. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna find my account. I guess you got a lot of stuff. I find my t-shirt designs right there. Okay. So in here, t-shirt designs, I've done this one right here, the Explore tent. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and do this one right here. Some of you may know I'm an author as well as a writer, and so you've got this wonderful little imagery right here. And I'm going to play with that a little bit. So you want to go ahead and make sure, again, if you've got the background transparent, then you're great. But I always like to check to make sure I don't have some other spots that I missed. So like some areas that have some extra like little stuff in there, because I don't want it to take too long to print. I don't want to have a big splotchy spot. So anyway, so I've got that all ready to go. The next big thing is positioning. So like I said before, I want it to be kind of across the chest. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it like so. And then I'm going to shrink it down to size. So I did for the other shirt, and it seemed to be a good fit for both small, medium, and large. I did go ahead and make my, when you turn it this direction, the height is about 7 inches. Oops, that's a 4. Make it about 7 inches right there, and it'll automatically fit. So this is a square shape, and it's pretty evenly cropped, so that's good. Almost a square shape. So you go. I've got it in the middle right there. The green area is, again, good processing. You want it to be in that green spot. So I'm going to move it down a few inches here. I'm going to probably put it in the middle right about there. And then what I do just to make sure is, since I've got that up there, I go over here with my screen, excuse me, and then I just put the little arrow in a spot to make sure I know where it's going to be. You know, like, so here's my red dot right there. And then I go over here and I look and I see, okay, that right there is the top of the image that I'm going to put on there. And that tells me, actually, that's a little higher than I like. So I think I'm going to move it down. I'm going to move my red line down to about there. And then I'm going to go back over here and I'm just going to make sure that the top part of my image is below that. Because again, I don't want it to be, you know, in your neck when you put the shirt on. So anyway, I've got that taken care of right now. Now this is the thing that gets really confusing. Because you are printing on the side that will be touching the shirt. Okay, you're printing on the, I guess you could call it the bottom of it. You're going to want to make sure that you invert it. So I learned this. There's an inversion tool right up here. It's actually, it says reflect. So you're going to click on that reflect tool and it gives you the opportunity to do it horizontally or vertically. So we're going to flip it vertically. Okay, so what that does is that gives you a mirror image. So it will print that when you, it'll print it backwards, etch it backwards onto the screen, but when you put it down, it will, you're going to be painting in the inside part of the frame. So you're going to be putting your paint in there. That'll be reflected properly on the shirt. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to go ahead and do the settings. And again, they do recommend go ahead and use your user-defined settings. I know some people play with it, do some different things. I did the coated screen. This is, I believe, a coated screen with 100 mesh. I do wish that XTool would label that a little bit more clearly. I'm basing this upon the fact that everybody else seems to be using that I've seen online uses the settings for the 100 point mesh as opposed to the 200 over here. Okay, so, and again, that's what I printed the other shirt on and it worked just fine. So we got that. I'm gonna go ahead and confirm that. You can see what your settings are over here, what it's recommended for. And then I'm gonna go ahead and click process, and then I'll show you some video of it actually processing here in a bit. Hey, right before we go ahead and engrave and click the button, I noticed that there's a good attention thing here. It kind of lets you know what to do and just proper care. One of the things that I found interesting, it says, if you have engraved the screen, so once you've done the actual engraving part, go ahead and rub it down with an alcohol moistened towel. cotton towel moistened with alcohol before using printing. I typically use, for cleaning any of my devices, something like this, a 70% isopropyl alcohol wipes. Get them from Target. And I'm actually kind of running low, so I'm gonna have to go get some more here pretty soon. But yeah, just to keep it clean and help it to process properly. So I'm gonna go ahead and click process now, and we are going to get this thing started. Now you can see it's processing the file. Takes a few minutes to kind of get that pulled up. This particular image is not super detailed. It has a lot of images in it, but it's not something that's a big project. And so you'll see it's going to take me about an hour and 12 minutes. So it's got a little bit more detail than what I ran last night. So we'll watch this bad boy print here for a little bit, and you can see it works just like it normally would. It's going to print a little bit lower on the shirt because it's a bigger image and goes up higher. As you can see, it prints really, really well and relatively fast. So check back in when there's a little bit more of an image there. Okay, so here we go. We got the processing going on. The lighting's a little rough. Let me see if I can help that. There we go. Moderately. Yeah, you can kind of see what it looks like as it goes in, and it creates that sort of gap in that space where your paint's going to go through. I will tell you that it does smell awful. It just is not the greatest smell in the world. Even with a good ventilation system running right out the window, off the back here, it still kind of collects. So I'm keeping my distance a little bit, keeping an eye on it, and we'll be back in a little bit when the actual screens are done. All right, so the screen printing is done now. Let's take a look and see how this thing worked out. Now, if you look down here, you can see what it's done is it's basically etched away the covering here, the sealant, and left this void so that I can now go in and put our paint on here. And as you can see, it's backwards, which again, like we'll see in a minute why that matters. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and shift things around so that you can see how I set it up on the actual table. All right, so for this table, you've got this little sheet that lays on top of the magnetic board. The magnetic board can be moved around. I haven't played with that much. I kind of want to keep it stabilized as much as I possibly can, but I just take the shirt and what you'll do is you will bunch up the shirt a little bit, make sure you got the right side, and you're going to slide the shirt down over, making sure that the shirt goes underneath this board right here, and then you'll slide it all the way down. You want to make sure that it is smoothed out, that there are that there are no wrinkles involved, because you don't want to have a wrinkle in the middle of your design. Okay, so you want to make sure that the shirt is centered. I like to use, you can see down here, these little knobs right here. That's where you control and shift things around. Great spot to kind of know. I try to center on that. You've got also this little dot right here on the blue board right there. That also gives you an idea of where, if you're centered or not. Okay, so I've got it centered here. I've got it pretty well stretched out. Now we'll see about the process of putting on the actual screen. Okay, so as I said before, you've got your screen right here. Here, as you can see, it is backwards, and that is because you are going to attach your screen like this. There's a couple little knobs. It goes into that, and then just like the same way you would put the screen together, what you're going to do is you're going to flip these bad boys right here to lock it into place. All right, now the one thing that I have as a complaint is that it doesn't want to lock down very well. Okay, so you're going to push the screen down. What I've been doing, you can simply press down on it to get it right up against the shirt. But what I've been doing, because I tend to want to use my hands more freely, I have a couple of 10-pound weights. I just put them on here, make sure they're as far as I can possibly get them out of the way of this particular image, so that I'm not going to have an issue with that when the time comes. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to begin the process of getting this paint. Now I'm going to use white paint on this because that's what I think works best on this particular shirt. It is a washed denim comfort color shirt that I got from All Day Shirts, so I recommend those guys. They're great. So let me go ahead and get the paint prepped, and then we'll go ahead and get started on the next step. Now, as far as colors, I got the multicolored kit. It comes with a lot, and I was kind of surprised at that. I actually had ordered some extra stuff, and I'm glad I did, and I'll tell you why. So first of all, it comes with, you've got several different colors here. You've got reds, blues, and blacks. So you got 3 of those. You've also got yellow, glitter gold, glow in the dark, and glitter silver. That's what it comes with, okay? So that's great, but you'll notice that one of the colors it's missing, or non-colors it's missing, is white. So I did go ahead and order another set of color. I've got some blue, magenta, green, yellow, and black. So I'm gonna have plenty of blues, yellows, reds, and I've got white. And since I'm using white on this one because I really like that kind of look, that sort of stark white on the dark color, I'm gonna go ahead and apply that. Now, the other things that it comes with that I think are very important for you to know about, comes with this little tool right here. This is what you use to apply the paint. You'll use this here, place it on there, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then it also comes with this really cool squeegee, branded with XTool right there, which you'll use to spread your paint. And it's also got a magnet so that when you're done, you can attach it to the back. I'll show you that here when we're done. All right, so now I'm gonna move you guys over and we're gonna show you how the processing actually works. And so right there, you got the screen down. It's kind of hard to see just because of the way the lighting is. But what I do, oh, and you'll also notice gloves. This paint is wonderful and it gets everywhere. So you got to be very careful with that. It will get all over your stuff. So I also have some wet paper towels nearby. Now, you take a little bit of paint and you'll have to kind of play with it a little bit to figure out exactly how much is enough. And what I do is I put it along the edge over here next to the image, kind of run it along, frame it up a little bit, and then there we go. Okay. What I found is that you can do a little bit too little. Get a little bit more there. You can a little bit. You can also go back. Okay, so let's say you go through in this first little round, you're going to find that it doesn't actually show up like you want it to. You can go back real fast before you move anything. So what you'll do is you'll take your squeegee, and I have found that moving across the image rather than up and down seems to transfer better. So I take my squeegee and I press real hard. There we go. And I move across, okay? So what you're looking for is you're looking for coverage. You wanna make sure that your paint is sticking in there in those little spots, that it's getting down real well, not leaving any gaps, okay? Then what you can do, take your little knife right there, scrape it off, maybe even drop some right there on top, you're good to go, okay? So then you can come back around, make sure you're covering it both ways. I found that to also be very effective because if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to have a little bit more of a sort of faded look to it, you didn't want it to have it super solid, then what you might be able to do is just go over it once or twice instead of several different times. The more you cover it, the more you're going to find you got a solid base. A little bit more right there when I cover. Okay. All right. So the good news about this is, and one of the benefits that I've seen people talking about is that unlike other methods of screen printing that you can see, you might, and by the way, just so you know, I'm cleaning this off again. This is a water-based paint, so if you do get it on yourself, it does come off, but it also smudges real good. So I'm trying to clean off as much excess as I can so I don't waste paint, because this stuff does end up adding up. But anyway, so it doesn't take super long. It's not a process that requires a long time to dry. It says to let it sit about 10 minutes before folding or anything like that. And honestly, I'll take it out of this here in just a second. You can kind of see how the process works. But they do recommend that you do not wash or clean it, machine wash or anything like that for 48 hours. So you're going to want to wait on that if you want to wash before you sell. Okay, so I've got that cleaned off right there. Let's go ahead and release. Recommend holding it down before you release it, especially if you've got weights on it or you've got it latched down, because it does pop up pretty fast. Okay, there you go. Okay, let's take this bad boy out. And there you go. You can see Comes out pretty well. Does a good look on the shirt. I'll turn a bit more. Okay. There you go. Nice blue shirt with your white Explore patch. All right. So now the next thing that I would tell you to do is, as you're getting ready, I'm going to go ahead and run my medium and my small size shirt so that I have some supplies in hand. But what the next thing I would do is that just take some of those wet paper towels right there, fresh ones, and wipe down that top. Just get that paint off of it, just so you don't get it caught up into the pores. You don't want that to get clogged up. So you clean that out a little bit and make sure you can still see through it pretty clearly, and that'll keep your screens fresh running longer. But there you go. That's how you screen print. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Totally forgot, I did promise that I was going to show you the cleanup process and also where some of the tools go. So real quick, if you will, take a look right here. I'm going to zoom down. All right, so you got this screen here. I've got the t-shirts removed. Like I said, I'm just going to take a little wet paper towel and I'm going to try to wipe this off as best I can. Probably need to get a little bit wetter than what I currently have it. But just to give you an idea kind of what that process looks like. So I'm going to actually stop the video here in a second and actually go in and really clean it. But I did mention that this thing right here has a magnet. And if you turn and look, it just sits, bam, right there. All in all, I've been very pleased with the XTool screen press, t-shirt screen press. And so I'm going to keep working with it, going to do a few other things and try t-shirts. And who knows, maybe some other things as well. But anyway, again, now I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial.